Hey Dan,
Hey, Chris.
have you hit record yet?
I think so.
It's okay. I see a little dot and everything.
Okay.
So we
Yeah.
should probably
Okay.
start talking about something instructive. You know what? We could probably do a whole lot of prep time, but I think I would rather if we just saved it for the podcast. That's what you're usually reminding me of, right?
Right. Right. Let's just get her done.
Let's
Get
just
her
get it
done.
done. So we should
They're
just
done.
so, so we should just stop talking about doing the job and actually do the job.
What are we doing?
Sure.
I
I
have
don't
no
know.
idea.
Let's just talk. Keep on talking and see what happens.
We should just keep. You know what? That's worked for us in the past so far. What episode is this, anyways? It's like 190,
177, 78 or something.
177 trombones on the hit parade. I think, you know what? No, we won't do that. There's better music than that. So at the moment, let's go ahead and say it's time. From Rochester, New York, the home of people who have no clue what they're doing more often than not, but we always make the best of it. This is FC3's Monkey Business, your one-stop shop for everything geeky, and everything in the world can be geeky if you love it enough, so you never know what you're going to get. Starring Billy DeTore, Dan Carmen, Tanya Metris, and I am your host. My name is Chris Frank, and it is so good to see you guys, or hear from you guys, or talk to you guys once again.
One of those things.
Hi.
Wasn't that good? See, we're trained professionals. Try this at home.
We are at home, so we are.
It works out perfectly. I mean, holy cow! It's the resurgence. It's coronavirus 2, the sequel, the return.
Yeah.
Several regions throughout the country are spiking back up and threatening basically to make the back end of 2020 as interesting as the front end.
Well, I heard that a vaccine may be on its way, so it wanted to really make itself known.
Yeah.
And let us appreciate the vaccine even more. So,
right,
whichever vaccine comes out, whenever it does. So
that's a thing.
So,
but yeah, no, you guys are good though.
Yeah.
We survived our scare here at this end of the thing.
That's
did we
good
talk
to
about
hear.
it last week? Did we talk about what happened last week at all?
I think we did. Well, last week we didn't have an episode.
We didn't have an
2 weeks
episode,
ago,
yeah.
yes.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, it all kind of starts blurring together after.
Actually, we found out right after the episode 2 weeks ago, right?
Yes.
Yes, it was. That's exactly it.
Immediately after.
So here's what happened. Here's what happened here.
Dear listeners.
Yes. The night before we recorded the last episode, it was a Saturday, and one of Juliana's dear friends came over. And this girl's trusted. She's been over several times. She's a sweet girl. She comes over. She's kind of like a little bit of an unofficial part of the family. So she had come over on Saturday to visit Jules because Jules had her birthday that previous Wednesday, and we were going to have the big family party on Sunday, which I think I had talked about it during the recording.
Mm-hmm.
And she'd come over, and we hung out, and she hugged everybody and socialized and whatnot, and then headed home. And so here I am. I'm recording podcast, the last recording that we did, and I get off, and it is the recording. And as soon as I take my headset off of my head and I'm setting it on my desk, Jules has appeared in the doorway, and she has that look in her eye, and she's like, "Dad, Dad!" I'm like, "Okay, something has just occurred." And I'm like, "What's going on?" She goes, "MJ tested positive." I'm like, "What?" Right? So what had happened is this young lady had been exposed, seen her doctor, been tested, had not yet gotten the results, and decided to stop by for a visit because somewhere along the line she was under the impression that this was all just a formality and most likely nothing was happening and everything was going to be fine, and so she can just go about her business, but only to find out Sunday morning the different information. And I'm like, wait, what? So we confirmed what was going on, figured it all out. I'm like, okay, immediately got on the phone with Jules's mother. We have to cancel the birthday party. And thank God the girl called when she did, because 2 hours later, there would have been people in my house, and a lot of them, like good 10, 15 folks in my house to celebrate Juliana's birthday. So it's just we made all the phone calls, and Erica's like, well, what do I do about the pizza? And I'm like, I'm sure they haven't started making it yet. You could call them and cancel, right? It's just that kind of a thing. And then we waited. I talked to the county health department. I said, this is what's going on here. Here's what we've done. This is what we're doing. We've put ourselves in quarantine. I've told my boss. Jules told her boss, etc. And And the guy's like, well, it takes a little bit of time to really set in, so you shouldn't get tested right away. It might be just wasted time. I said, okay, Thursday? He goes, Thursday. Cool. So we got ourselves tested. We got the results. Everything's cool. Everybody's healthy. But man, I tell you, that was a very worrisome week and a half, almost 2 weeks.
The girl that tested positive, did she wind up feeling poorly, or?
She got a very mild case. She spiked a fever. She had a lot of the symptoms, but they were very. And so she's very lucky, and I'm very happy to hear that she did not suffer, badly like a lot of people have. But she did she did have a rough couple of days there, and then she got through it. Right. So it was a glancing blow, and it could have been a lot worse. And so I reiterate to people, this is real. We got lucky. Over 250,000 people haven't. Right.
And it's easy to spread.
It is. It's really easy.
You got lucky, but yeah.
Yeah, this whole story could have been tremendously different. So I encourage you guys who are listening to us to just keep being careful. If you feel like, I don't want to look like I'm being paranoid. It's okay. Be paranoid. Because you just don't know what's hiding around the corner. We've been very careful. We've quarantined, but we have a circle of people that we trust, and everybody talks to each other. This is what's going on. This is what's going on. Hey, have you been? Hey, I know. No, cool. Come on over, and we can. There's been a lot of really good communication going on, and it seems weird to have to do that, but it's important that we keep those communication levels going, because then what's happening. And as I just said a moment ago, this could have been entirely different. We could have been not lucky, and it could have been made for a very tough situation. So it was weird for me. It was just like, oh my God! After being careful this entire year, it walked in the back door. It walked right into my house, and I'm like, oh, okay. That so it's just all right. Make sure, just everybody take a breath and go back to the beginning, start over again, build up those communication circles, build up the ability to say, hey, look, I'm concerned, and if something doesn't feel right, don't worry about it. If somebody says you're paranoid, there's going to be a 10 times the number of people saying, no, you're doing the right thing, and protect yourselves and protect others, and wear your masks. And masks work; they help. They're not the panacea. They're not the be all and end all, but they're part of an equation that will make sure that we get these curves flattened back out again, and then hopefully that, like you guys were saying, the virus is around the corner, or the vaccine is around the corner. Excuse me.
The virus has already been lurking around the corner.
Yeah, the virus has been in my backyard. It's like Jesus.
I don't know if the quarantine hurt you more or Juno.
My dog is hanging in there. She really is. She's been a good girl. She's curled up in a ball right now on the floor behind me, and she's taking a quick morning nap. But yeah, that's the thing, is the quarantine was tougher because we were a lot more restrictive, and I would take her outside, but I would be standing on the back step. But I would the steps I would have to do just to make sure that I was letting my dog out, because I share a driveway, and our backyards are basically merged together with my next door neighbor, and they're in their 70s. These are good people. They're healthy, but I don't want to run the risk. So I would always poke my head out. Are they in the yard? Are they moving to their car? Are they, they are? And then I would let Juno out, because she as soon as she see them, she'd go wiggling right on over there to say hi. So I wanted to make sure there was no chances that something was going to happen.
Well, that Thursday when I dropped off milk and bread and stuff, and we were talking through the door, the poor little puppy, her little
she was going bonkers
so much because she wanted out to get to me.
Yeah, well, you're her mommy as far as she's concerned. Tanya is Juno's mom. That's as far as Juno is concerned. She's like, whenever Tanya comes over, she gets things. So it's like, so, and we had that little little patio table, and so I put it right by the back door. So a couple of people were generous to stop by, and they were like, "Hey, do you need anything? Okay, cool. We'll bring it over. We'll put it on the table." And they'd wave to us through the window, and we felt like we were the NASA astronauts coming back from the moon. We're all waving from the porch and whatnot. And, it was just weird.
But it was funny because I was backing down the driveway that day, And I was waiting, and I was right at the end of the driveway getting ready to back out onto your street.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, I see her come whipping around the corner, and you must have called her like right away, because all of a sudden I saw her face, and then all of a sudden I saw her tail end.
Yeah.
Because she's just like, wait, is she still here? Is she still here? I'm going for her.
That's the thing is when somebody would visit, I'd have to let her out immediately so that she can go out, because she got herself so excited she'd have to pee.
Yeah.
Right? So I have to let her out immediately as soon as the exposure risk was over.
Yeah, she's back to piddling when she sees somebody.
Yes, it's bad too, but I anticipate a certain level of regression in a pupper. But yeah, I've promised she'll be heading out to the fields in certain people's farms soon, so she can run around.
Yeah,
stretch her legs. Around. Yeah, it'll be good.
She's like, I've been cooped up for 2 weeks.
Oh God, it's been rough.
That's what I said. Was it worse for you or her?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, but but like I said, that's the message, though. People is this is a real thing, and just please be careful, right? Just be careful.
Because they're saying now the numbers are actually bigger than they were back in March when everybody was extra careful. So be as careful now as you were then.
Right. Well, that's the thing is I had a thought. It disappeared on me. We were new to it back then, so we were begrudgingly doing these quarantines, begrudgingly doing the social distancing, begrudgingly the masks, etc. But okay, whatever. It's not that big a deal. But but now we're dealing with fatigue. We haven't gone to the movies in so long. We missed out on all of our summer music festivals. We didn't go to Ren Fair. We didn't go to the big block picnics. We didn't
have our show.
We didn't have FC3. All these things didn't happen, and here we are still dealing with it and still struggling with it and feeling like nothing we did is really making a difference. I can very easily say, well, if we had a unifying leadership at the beginning of the year, then this would have been over a lot sooner. But that's barn door horse kind of a thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, people are just tired. I know I am. Jesus, I want to go on a road trip. I want to go see my family. I want to go see friends. I want to go out and do things, but I can't. And I'm sick and tired of it. But, Thanksgiving's coming up. I mean, we're going to be talking about Thanksgiving in the long segment today. So let's start it up now. Thanksgiving's coming up, and everybody's like, well, damn, we're used to like a house full of 30, 40 people and enough turkey to feed a small battalion. And, and we're having to pare back our plans. Now, there's a lot of people who are,
are not planning on paring back their plans.
Yeah. And I wish them luck. May the odds be ever in your favor.
I'm not volunteering as tribute for that.
I'm not volunteering as tribute for that. I mean, last year I was at a Thanksgiving with 32 people in the house. This year, it'll be Jules, her boyfriend, my mom, myself, and there will be a special guest star of my son stopping through every so often. That's it.
Yeah. I mean, our Thanksgiving is usually just the 5 of us in my house and then my parents. So that's not changing. But what's changing is my dad's family, usually the rest of my dad's family gets together at somebody's house. And that's like 30 some odd people. So they've canceled that. And we're talking that we've canceled the big Christmas get together because we can't all fit in one house this year with everything, because there's close to 50 of us, and there's no places that would be willing to rent us the hall, even if we could social distance. And like the adults, most of the adults could probably social distance to an extent, but it's the kids. The kids would want to be playing with each other's toys and things like that. And I was talking to my mom. I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm not doing it. I have a mother-in-law that lives in the house that is 75. I'm like, she's got COPD. I'm like, I can't do that to her. I'm like, Tyler's like, I'm not going. I mean, he truly has not. And like, listeners, when I say he hasn't left the house since March, he hasn't left the house since March. He's gone outside to play basketball and things like that, but he has not been in my car since March. Jeez. He's not gone anywhere whatsoever, because he's one of those. He's back to the the masks are uncomfortable. So therefore, since he doesn't want to wear it, he makes the option not to go anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
So he's kind of protecting everybody that way. So, but no, and so it's a little different. So we're talking about potentially like having the kids draw names for Christmas, like we would normally do, and do a virtual Zoom call. So the kids could see each other opening their presents, or we could opt out. And I'm like, well, I'm only one person that has to buy. Like Riker only has to buy for one of the other kids, but like my cousin, she's got 4 kids, so she would have to buy for 4 different kids. I'm like, I'd let her be the one to say she's going to opt out this year, because I'm like, I can't necessarily justify it for myself. I'm like, I'm only buying 1 Christmas present for a kid. I'm not buying 4 or 5.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
These are the decisions we have to make right now, which is so weird and so against the grain for, we social animals, we human beings, we blissfully, wonderfully complicated primates. But it's...
I know.
I don't know.
And then
we got to do right now. It's
What's that?
temporary. It's all we have to do right now. It's
Yeah.
temporary. So
we have to. Eventually, and I can say this with certainty, this is not a hopefully kind of a situation, but there will come a time where this will be done, and we will be looking back at it, and we will think about what we've learned and what we didn't learn, and we'll be looking at a large swath of the population going, they'll never learn, and we'll look at another large swath of the population going, look at how they evolved and became better people because of all of this. So this is going to be one of those things that we'll talk about for decades to come. And this is one of those defining moments. It's weird to say but this will be down the road. This will be up there with the World Wars, with the Cold War, with all that stuff. This will be one of those globally defining moments, and we don't want to. And people are like, we don't want to look at a virus or an illness or a pandemic and think it was so major. But this has gone around the world. This is a thing.
How long? How much do you think they'll never learn people will hold back the eventual recovery of society?
I don't think we will see normal until at least 2022. I think they'll fight us all the way through 21, even if it's proven this vaccine. I mean, I have my hesitations. I don't want the generation 1 of the vaccine, right? You never want generation 1 of anything. Because you want to see what's going to happen. You want to see if there's going to be, once it starts mass producing and starts interacting with a larger group of the population and not a controlled, group of guinea pigs, essentially. You want to see how this is going to unfold. So I know I'm going to hesitate at first, but I'm interested in making sure that I'm safe. Right. So I'm probably going to put myself in line once I'm satisfied with it. But there are still people out there, Billy, who think that the government is going to microchip people through a vaccine. They exist.
That's why I'm skeptical.
That's why I don't want to get the vaccine.
No, that's why I'm skeptical of like an actual society. I don't know when this will end. This feels like it could go on even longer than 2022 because there's a bunch of boneheads now that are so resistant to anything that may help. I mean, they don't want to wear a mask. They don't want to socially distance. They don't want to limit their Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
So
we have bred a newer and more fact-resistant version of humanity at this point.
So I don't know what to think of an eventual return to sort of normal.
I got to look at it this way, that there is, you look at it like a set of scales. You have the people on one side who are into doing the right thing. And then there are the people on the other side who think they are doing the right thing by being resistant. Okay. And they're the fact resistant humans, not virus resistant, but fact resistant humans. And I got to imagine that the resistance is going to, and I hate to say it so with such a tongue-in-cheek dark humor, but they're going to end up being a dying breed, right? And as they get outnumbered, they will be easier to deal with.
Resistance
there will be people,
is futile.
It is. It really is, because eventually what's going to happen is there's going to end up being fewer of them, and they're either going to got sick, got through it. Hopefully, I would hope for it, and you get on board. That would be. Oh God, there's no good way to say this. There really isn't, and I apologize. It sounds so cruel, but the people who have mocked this entire situation and have slandered this entire situation, then I can only think that they're going to end up being exposed to it. They will get sick, and I can only hope that they survive and get better, right? And then see the light that this was a real thing. There will be those who have mocked it and slandered it and resisted it, and they will get sick, and then they will not survive. So there's that transformative event. And so therefore, the people who have been trying all along will start to outnumber those who have been resistant all along. And it's just so terrible to say, and I feel horrible for even having said that, but there's also an anthropological fact to that. When the Black Plague hit, in the Dark Ages, there were the people who reacted and tried to prevent and protect, and there were the people who didn't care and thought this was an inevitable thing, and they the negativity ran out, and so did the plague then.
Yeah.
And the people who fought and tried to strive above it and protect themselves from it are the ones who carried on, for their society. So we're going to have that.
It's truly a Darwinism.
It is. In a way, it really is. Oh, hello. Oh, there's a puppy. Hi, puppy.
I was gonna say, was that Molly or?
No, no, she's trapped in Jules's room at the moment. But no, suddenly I'm just sitting here, and suddenly I had a nose right in my hand. So
she's like, I know you mentioned
somewhere else.
Yeah.
She's like, I know you mentioned me earlier.
Yes, you were talking about me. But that's the hot take. That's the sociological hot take. So 2021 is going to be a very interesting year to watch in action, because we're going to have different outlook. We're going to have access to these initial prototype vaccines. You're going to have. We're going to see how we can turn the ship around at this point. We're going to see if people are going to get on board or continue to fight. You're right, Billy. It probably could last for a while longer yet, but who knows?
But isn't the Pfizer produced one being developed here in Rochester and tested here in Rochester?
We are part of the equation, but not the entire equation, from what I'm being told.
Because I had an idea that I think is brilliant, to the point where I actually emailed someone. This past week, it was announced the Rochester Red Wings' new parent club is the Washington Nationals.
Really?
Yeah.
Yes.
I did not hear that part. That's cool.
The Twins dropped this a couple weeks ago, and the Red Wings literally said, we're going to have a new parent club by December 1st. And a bunch of baseball people, including myself, sort of looked around, and Washington a bunch of years ago used to be with Syracuse. But a couple years ago, Syracuse signed with the Mets. So Washington wound up in Fresno, California, which is terrible for when you want to call people up and down and send people back and forth. So me and a bunch of other people, including the Red Wings, thought, let's get Washington involved. So now the Washington Nationals are going to be our new parent club. One of the Washington Nationals' biggest fans is Dr. Anthony Fauci.
Oh, wow.
That's the team he threw out the first pitch for last year.
That's awesome.
So with us being part of the team developing this vaccine, I think next season, maybe we should have a Dr. Anthony Fauci bobblehead night.
Oh, that'd be great.
Bring him to Rochester to tour the facilities and do a press conference about whatever's going on with the vaccine at that point. And if people are allowed in the stadium, do a Dr. Fauci night where people can get a vaccine. I don't suppose you don't want people without vaccines already in the stadium, but
yeah.
But have him be the special guest at the stadium to throw out the first pitch because his first pitch at the Nationals game was so bad they sent him to the minors.
Oh.
You know what, Billy? I agree. I think that's brilliant. I think that's freaking hilarious. That's awesome.
Oh boy.
So yeah, it's strange days are still ahead.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, silence descended upon us for like a good 2 seconds there.
Well, we were all thinking. We were very thoughtful people, you know.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah, 2021 is going to be a mystery. Who knows what's going to happen? I mean,
Yeah, and we had such high hopes. Everybody was making all the 2020 jokes. We see 2020 now. Oh yeah, this is gonna be
we
great.
see
And
clearly, yes. We see
especially everybody's
Yeah.
looking especially forward to Halloween because it was going to be on a Saturday, and it was
A
going to
full
be
moon.
on a full moon, and then the whole we're getting an extra hour of sleep the next day. Oh, Halloween's gonna be lit, and I'm like, yeah, look at that.
yeah.
2020 then said, "Hold my beer."
Yeah.
Like, wow.
Many times it said that. Yes.
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 Yeah. Oh.
Yeah. And just when you
Thank
think
Lord.
it couldn't get any weirder, guess what? Tell them what they've won, Dan.
And we're gonna start 2021 with a president who won't want to leave.
Yeah.
He may literally get dragged out of the White House.
That's amazing.
Can we not have a second political discussion on the thing? The last one we got very political type thing, and
it's starting to transform into less political and more of a sociological thing as you study basically the attitudes of certain personality traits, basically at this point. So.
Well, and Chris already knows that I was just trying to have a conversation with coworkers the other day. Over our Zoom office hours because no kids were on yet, and we were just talking about all the crap that's been going on and the whole perceived voter fraud and blah 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 blah, just this, that, and the other thing. And I'm just having a conversation, and someone yells from their office to knock it off, to get over it. The election is done. They've already won. That you have to stop arguing about it. And I'm just like, one, they weren't even a part of that conversation,
right?
And two, I'm just like, you just like are kind of right. You just stifled my opinion or my thoughts or my conversation I was having with somebody else, like, and that's part of the problem. And I was trying to be a little more educated, going and looking, because I had been having a conversation with the social studies teachers, and they were getting ramped up because one's on one side of the political spectrum and one is on the other side of the political spectrum. So, and it's funny to watch them go back and forth. Because the social studies teacher I've worked with for years, he's like, pull out the evidence, give me the example, pull out whatever. And the other one's like, couldn't at that point. And I'm like, oh, it's, and we're all laughing. And I'm like, oh, it's like you're clubbing a baby seal. Knock it off, Fee. And so I had mentioned that's what it seemed like. Even though they were having a good conversation, they weren't disrespecting each other. They weren't arguing with each other. They were both like doing this, that, and the other thing. But just that person pissed me off to the point that I felt like I couldn't put my 2 cents in whatsoever anymore.
Well, that's something I've been noticing. We've been talking about this on and off over the year, and even previously, that the only people doing most of the talking out loud are the extremes. Right? You have the far right, the far left. They're the loudest. They're the most obnoxious. All right, and then there's everybody in the middle who has started to engage in the conversation, and I think that's why this current presidential election was so interesting, is because there's a lot of people in the middle who were finally getting involved in the conversation, and so you start seeing all the different, but then you also see people who are reaching across said aisles, these wonderfully imaginary aisles, and they're talking to each other. But what's happening now is the extremes are angry.
Talking to each other.
Yeah, they're angry because they're like, wait, no, you can't do that. We're the ones. We're supposed to be shouting at each other. We're supposed to be shouting at each other, not talking with each other, but shouting at each other.
The nutcases are so singularly focused that any topic automatically turns to that. I mentioned the other day on Facebook, I literally clicked on a Channel 10 news story about that owl that got trapped in the tree that wound up in Rockefeller Center. And that turned into people arguing about voter fraud.
Yeah.
And I'm not kidding. It turned into a 50 comment chain of people arguing about voter fraud on the story about the owl.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy.
It is. It really is.
The owl did it. Come on, we all know.
Yeah.
Well, it did turn out he was left-winged.
Yeah. So, there you go.
Oh God! See, if we were back in the studio, that's where the would be right there. Oh no! Oh God, that's awesome.
Poor owl. It's got stuck in a tree, and look what happens.
Yeah. But I feel bad for. I mean, like Tanya has a legitimate thing. I mean, she just made an observation. She wasn't putting her foot down. She wasn't saying, this side or that side, or this is right, this is wrong. She was just saying, well, this is a thing. This we should be and wham, here comes somebody just clobbering her from left field. It's like, come on, dude, really?
Let's
we're
have conversations, people, not just shut everybody down.
Yeah, we're going to have to learn to talk to each other again. That's the thing.
Not just because you're on another side, we can't agree on anything. Let's just talk.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, come on.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
you can't help it if you're wrong. That's
hey.
Let's not get too political here, I guess. So
I know.
No, and a lot of it is to educate and to be able to look at the what the media is saying and try to find where the truth is, because one side of the media is going to go this way, one side of the media is going to go that way, and somewhere in the middle is actually what's happening. And it's not to be sucked in by those extremes. Is to be educated, do a little bit of research, and that's what I was trying to do the other day, just to have this conversation. And no, it pissed me off.
I always try to read stuff from both sides, because I always try to hear what everybody's saying,
mm-hmm.
and then form opinions, and I try to find the truth somewhere in the middle of it all, because that's usually where it is. Because you have to always read beyond the headlines. So the headlines are always going to be sensational because they want to get you to click on the article. The headline might not be what the actual article is about.
Exactly.
So you always have to. But people, I don't know what percentage of people stop at the headline. Mm-hmm. Oh, the headline says this, so this, don't read everything else in there, because a lot of times the articles are well written, but it's just that they have this sensational headline that kind of puts you in the wrong direction there. So I always try to read articles from both sides and just keep perspective here of everything. But yeah.
And as long as we're talking about controversial subjects, the biggest first world problem in the world right now, you people, you can watch the Charlie Brown Thanksgiving on PBS tonight.
Yay!
Yeah. And that is a jarring yet appropriate segue for the rest of the show.
I thought the first world problem was the stuffing going in the turkey or outside the turkey, and you bake it separately.
Both ways are right. I've done it in both fashions.
I don't touch the turkey.
I have a whole thing, and I'll talk about it after the break. So there's this whole tradition that we have at our house, and I'll go into great detail about it. But let's first take a quick break. Let's get ourselves sorted out, and we're going to return back to Thanksgiving, which sadly used to be one of my favorite holidays, but lately it's just kind of like, okay, fine.
Turkey.
And we are back, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, dudes and dudettes. So yeah, as Billy pointed out, by the time you're hearing this, the Charlie Brown Thanksgiving special will already have been aired on PBS. But at this point, it's been around so long, I would assume most of you have to have it on DVD or some sort of recording at this point. So I don't know. I look forward to seeing it. It's one of my favorites of the Charlie Brown specials.
Ooh, popcorn and toast.
To me, it's part of the great trilogy. Mm-hmm. It's the Great Pumpkin, the Thanksgiving, and the Christmas.
Right.
There's a bunch of others, but those are the three musts.
You celebrate the tail end of the year with the Peanuts gang. It's awesome.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
It's a wonderful end of the year, Charlie Brown. But so like I was saying before we went to break, we have a whole tradition thing here, and it started several years ago. I think Ian was still a baby.
That was many years ago then.
Many years ago. But we were living in this apartment on Gores Line in the Maplewood area. And Erica, my ex, was working for Century Safe when it was still owned by the original family. It has since been bought off and moved around the company or moved around the country as things happen these days. But the family loved their employees and always did everything they could for their employees. And quite by our surprise, we didn't know this was a tradition. They pulled up a truck about a week before Thanksgiving and started handing out free turkeys to all the employees. And so Erica brings this turkey home, and it's sitting in, in its full wrapping and everything, sitting in the sink, and we're looking at it. We're like, what do we do with this thing? We've never done this before. We've never hosted. As a matter of fact, we were planning on actually being at family house for Thanksgiving, so we didn't want to go to waste. So we're like, well, let's have our own Thanksgiving here at the house. We'll have this, and we'll have extra leftovers. So we'll try it out here. We never know. Down the road, we may be hosting Thanksgiving, which we ended up doing for like about 5 or 6 years. So here's this turkey, and she goes on Google and she does all the research because she's the research queen. I'll tell you, my ex-wife is fantastic at getting information. She loves it. And so she gets the whole step-by-step process. All right, cool. And we go to Wegmans, we get a bunch of stuff, we bring it back. And it was a big turkey. It was not like a 12, 13 pounder. This sucker was up there in the teens, and she could not do what she wanted. And the first thing she had to do was rub it down with lemon. You have to rub it down with lemon straight. You want to start sanitizing it and everything. So she goes, Chris, you hold it. So I'm holding this freaking turkey in the sink, and she's rubbing it all over the lemon, and we're just laughing at the just sheer insanity of this visual. So me, being who I am, starts dancing the turkey around in the sink, like just jigging it up and down. I'm like, come on, dance with it, dance with it. She's like, I'm not going to dance with the turkey. And then out of nowhere, I have no idea why I did this, but I'm like, dance with Howard. And she's like, what? I go, dance with Howard. Howard the turkey is here in the house, and he is your guest. Dance with him. And I'm start dancing the turkey around. It was late at night. We were really kind of like we were feeling exhausted at this point. So, I'm more likely to do stupid things when I'm tired. She's like, I am not going to call the turkey. Surely enough, we started calling the turkey Howard. Thus began a tradition in our family that when we were hosting, the whole process of prepping the turkey and getting it into the brine or the marinade or whatever we were going to do with it, we would name the damn turkey. We've had such names as Norbert, Galileo one year. The weirder the better is what we noticed. Ian had he was at Nazareth Hall, so it was a Catholic grammar school, and he had done this whole report on Saint Christopher. And apparently Saint Christopher is a legend that can be traced sort of loosely back to a theologian who was one of the early Christians named Reprobus. So we named the turkey Reprobus. So these are John Paul. When John Paul II passed away, we named the next turkey John Paul. Stupid things like that. And it was always it became part of the family tradition, and we always get a big laugh out of naming the turkey.
So your turkey's going to be named this year?
Oh, yes, because my mom, who was going to be one of our guests, lives in the area of a retired school that has been used as a kind of an unofficial community center. And these people did a wonderful Thanksgiving food drive where they gathered up supplies and they were getting out to needy people. But they had, as you will have at Thanksgiving, leftovers. So they went out into the community, into the neighborhood, and were handing out free turkeys to the neighbors, just saying, hey, thanks for being a great neighbor. Here, have a turkey. So we have this 12-pounder sitting in my fridge, and my mom goes, you're not going to name it, are you? Because she's well aware of this tradition that we've had over the years.
Yes,
and I said, Mom, if you want me to prepare this turkey, I have to name the turkey. She goes, what's it going to be? So I'm holding this thing in front of me, and it's still in its wrapping in its mesh bag, and I'm looking at it. Go, looks like a Horatio this year. She just rolls her eyes. She's like, okay, fine, it's Horatio. I'm like, yes, meet Horatio. So
it's things like that, but it's things like that make it fun. It makes it part,
it's great.
It makes it your own, because I don't know of anybody else who names their turkey, so that's good.
There you have it. Last year I was at another family's house, and it was this big thing. Like I said, 32 people were there. And just as the turkey is about to come out of the oven, I looked at the hostess, and I said, so what's its name? And she looked at me like, what? I'm like, the turkey's name. What's the turkey's name? She's like, oh God, yes, that. I forgot you do that sort of thing.
I know Ann names her cows, but
yes. Chickens.
But those were alive. She had those when they were alive. You didn't have the turkey when they were alive.
Mm-hmm.
No, did you see her post the other day though that she went to throw some bread out to the chickens and she had to yell at Chick-fil-A to stop pestering Callie, and she said that the builders that are working on her sister-in-law's house next door just cracked up, was laughing hysterically because Ann was yelling, Chick-fil-A, leave Callie alone. So yes, it's quite funny.
So yes, Horatio, and I have a little bit of excitement for Thanksgiving because this is the first one I'm having at the house that I've been living in for the past couple of years.
I know you wanted to host a Friendsgiving type thing last year, and it just was.
It didn't come around, and then 2020 showed up, and it's like, ugh. I will be doing that though when everything is a year from now. When everything is safer, I'm planning on doing that up because that'd be fun, I think. But so yes, Horatio will be at the Frank house, and whatever you name your turkey, let us know. Drop that in the comments. I want to hear if people are like, that's a great thing. I want to do that now too. Join the party. It's great. Have fun. It's part of the process. So that's that Frank family tradition. And Ian, I got to pick up Ian for lunch yesterday, and so we go out for Indian food as we tend to, and we're celebrating the fact that he got his driver's license last week. My son is now an official licensed driver. I don't feel old. And so we settle in for lunch, and he looks at me, he goes, so the turkey this year? I said, yeah. He goes, name? I'm like, I tell him, and he's like, not bad. All right, I like that one. Yeah. Anyway, so what are some other Thanksgiving traditions?
A weird one we have in my family. I mean, everyone has the
weirder the better.
Yeah. Well, it's what was it? Maybe 3-4 years ago. During dinner, we had one of the music channels. I know how your cable TV has those music channels. Mm-hmm. So it was like background music. We had on like the soft classic rock or 60s hits or whatever it was. And Hooked on a Feeling came
Ooga
on.
chaka, ooga,
exactly.
Ooga chaka.
So we literally, me, Susan, is at my brother's house, my brother, my sister, my brother-in-law, all sang the song around the dinner table while we were eating, like in full, singing along with it. So like we decided we had a ball literally singing Hooked on a Feeling. I can't stop this feeling. We all knew all the words. My niece and nephew who are like 10, 11, somewhere, kids, they looked at us like we were nuts. But after that, we decided we need a Thanksgiving song every year now.
Uh-huh.
So that one was organic, but since then, the next few years, we picked like a Motown, some song we all liked that may have something to do with family or getting together or being happy or something. So now our sing along is scheduled to where we call my brother in Arizona, Susan's brother in New Mexico, and we have a big sing along, which we haven't decided. I don't know if we're doing it this year because of the pandemic, because usually it starts with the 7 of us at my brother's house, and we're not doing that this year. So I don't know, but the last 4 or 5 years we've had the family Thanksgiving sing along, which will be missed, I think, this year. But Hooked on a Feeling is still a special song to me because every time I hear it, I think of us all sitting around the Thanksgiving dinner table now, singing along with that one.
That's pretty cool, though.
Yeah.
I like that one. How about you, Danny?
Don't really have anything. I mean, the last 10 years or so, we would go down to Florida for Thanksgiving.
Mm-hmm.
The in-laws there. And that was always fun for the kids and everything. Before that, my extended family on my dad's side, we meet up in Massachusetts.
Mm-hmm.
And usually started off, we'd usually go to a restaurant for Thanksgiving because there usually, a lot of times there's 20, 30 people and we kind of get there.
Can't fit all in one place.
Yeah, but the ironic part is that we'd go out for dinner and we'd go back and they'd still make turkeys and in my uncle's house, and so we had like more food there and everything because that's what we did. But then the adults would send the kids off to a movie, and then the adults would drink and play cards.
Mm.
So the kids would all be left alone at the movie theater, and the adults would all be without the kids. So it was great. So we got to see a movie, and the adults got child-free night. So that was when I was younger, anyways. But as far as like my immediate family, we don't really have anything because we were always been traveling. So I guess I think our tradition was to go visit the grandparents down in Florida there and spend the time on the beach.
Isn't this usually the time of year that you'd have your marathon?
The Space Coast Marathon is the Sunday after Thanksgiving also. So I started that because we were down in Florida. I said, well, let me run a marathon while I'm there, and I was at the Space Coast, so right outside of Kennedy Space Center. So
right.
I did that. Well, I did it early this year before my radiation stuff started. So I did my marathon run there. So that's what's going to count for my marathon this year. So it's virtual. They're actually still doing in-person marathons down there. It's going to be, but they also have a virtual option. So I switched to the virtual option, and I'm using that time for it. So.
Oh, is that the one you did like right before your radiation started?
Yep. Get that done. So got to keep my streak going here.
Yeah, no kidding.
I've done those for I've done every year except for 2012 when Josh was born, because we didn't go down that year. So since 2010 to 2000 till now. So
you truly do have like a Thanksgiving tradition.
I guess so. It just kind of happened.
Yeah.
Not as fun as naming a turkey, but but the food gets cooked for us. So it's just kind of nice.
That's the thing about traditions is I listened to Billy's story, I listened to yours, I listened to mine. They're not planned. I think the best traditions, the ones that last forever, the ones that happen organically, they just occur. And then for some reason they occur again, and then you start looking forward to it. So this spontaneous event becomes something that you look forward to. And those usually make the best traditions,
Mm-hmm.
and the ones that are like we have to have a tradition. Really?
No,
why? Why do you have to have one?
If you force it, it's not going to happen.
It's not necessarily going to be a tradition.
Right. Exactly. And you get a different response to it. Like there are certain things, certain patterns that have occurred in the past 20 years where it's like, well, it's tradition. We do this. No, it's tradition that you want to do this. It's different.
Right.
And then you don't get that emotional investment where it's funny. My mom rolled her eyes, but later on, the punchline to that particular story is that she goes, "I had already been coming up with a couple of ideas if you didn't have one." So, so it's in some cases begrudgingly, but it's humorously begrudgingly. It's you've got things like that ahead. Like Tanya, did you have any in particular? Did we talk?
No, I mean, it used to be that we would flip-flop and kind of go back and forth about who was going to host, whether it was going to be me or my parents. But over I think the last 10 years, it's just easier for us to host. Because then there's less because the kids can actually take breaks in their own room if it gets overwhelming. But no, I mean, it's usually we would have go to Thanksgiving with my dad's side of the family or whatever on Thanksgiving, and then we'd always make a turkey on Friday to have something at home. But I think part of our Thanksgiving traditions is usually our tree goes up either Thanksgiving Day after dinner or the next day. It's certain things that we do around this particular time of year. I mean, of course, we have like traditional foods and things like that, but I think it's become the normal that we like play a game on Thanksgiving where almost everyone's involved. So that type of stuff, it's just something that it's just natural to be hanging out at home, making all the food, who's fighting about who's going to get the skin off the turkey after it comes out of the oven, that type of stuff. I mean, we used to be able to serve it like all on the table, but now there's so much food that we use my island for it.
Right.
So I think one of our traditions is what kind of festive paper plates are we using this year? Because we have so many more dishes already to be done that we don't want to have to wash plates and silverware and things like that.
Can I say I love you, Tanya? That, to me, that is fantastic of you, because I do the dishes mostly, and to me, the amount of dishes we use for nothing is.
And it's so funny. Everyone's like, oh, you spend all day slaving over this particular meal or whatever, and it's done within 10 minutes. And then you look at the aftermath of all the freaking dishes and you're like, oh. So I mean, we usually have oval plates that will say give thanks, or things that have turkeys on them, or pumpkin pie or whatever. But it's all like festive to whatever holiday it is now that we're having a large gathering. Now granted, I do have regular plates in my house. I do, but we've gone more to the paper plates type thing because we're just so busy and things like that. And every other Sunday we have a large group, not a large group, it's still under 10 in the house, that I don't have enough plates for everyone unless I go into my good china. So we do a lot of paper plates. So, but yeah, I don't know. We don't necessarily have like specific traditions, like Chris names the turkey, or that we have singing type thing. Is we usually are waiting for my dad to come out of the woods. That's our tradition. A couple years ago.
Yeah, because your dad's an avid hunter.
We were in the process of making Thanksgiving and whatever, and the turkey was in the oven and things like that, and we get a phone call from my dad. He is hunting alone, and he got a deer and he needs help dragging it out of the woods. So he needed help tracking it and dragging it out of the woods. So I had to drive Randy to Hunter Falls and drop him off to my dad. And then I'm like, well, Dad, you have him now. Because once they found it, they had to go take it over because it was somewhat warm to drop it off to be processed. I'm like, I called my mom. I'm like, because I was on the phone with her the entire time while I was waiting for Randy and my dad to find the deer and things like that. So I'm like, well, I'm going to go get Mom and bring her up, and Dad, you bring Randy home type thing. Because instead of me getting Randy back, I'm like, no, if Randy has any deer guts or whatever on, he's not getting back in my car. That's not happening. Not happening. So I went and picked up my mom. I'm like, I'm on my way to get you. Dad and Randy will be back for Thanksgiving later. She's like, okay. So it's like that stuff. It's like that spur of the moment where you're like, okay. It's always tradition for my dad to be hunting on Thanksgiving. So we're just hoping that he gets a deer before dinner time so he can get my mom up to her house, that type of thing. But
it's funny you mentioned hunting. Just yesterday, someone messaged me on Facebook asking if I hunted, and my reply was no.
From the couch?
What's it? No, I said no. There are stores where I live.
Yeah,
there you go.
So, yeah, no. I think the new traditions are starting. Oh, my damn family! You hear all that noise?
New traditions are starting as we speak.
Yes, that Tanya's going to have to mute her microphone pretty soon.
We'll get soundproofing for the ceiling of the basement.
God, I'm going to have to do the whole freaking basement. It's ridiculous.
I just heard a scream.
Is that Riker?
Yes, that's Riker. He's in the living room. Daddy must be tormenting him. That's a happy screech, though. That's a stop tickling me type whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, sure.
It's not a I'm being beaten screech. Those are totally different.
I'm being murdered in the corner.
Yeah.
Because that's usually Tanya's job.
Yes.
Right.
I just have to raise my voice, and if I raise my voice and pull out one swear word, all of a sudden Riker bursts into tears.
Oh no!
I don't have to do anything other than that. And but no, I think my mom's got traditions with Tyler around this time because they're not here for his birthday, so they use like Thanksgiving time. Like normally they go shopping for his birthday in November, but now they're going to use Thanksgiving Day to shop on Amazon for his birthday because they're not around in January. So they're doing that. So he's got his own little things with my mom, and my mom's got specific things that she likes to do.
Oh my God! Yeah, Black Fridays is a whole new different animal these days.
Yeah, it is. It's all pretty much all going to be online.
You know, last year I was really good. Last year I saved something like $1,300 on Black Friday
because you didn't shop.
Exactly. I stayed the hell home and I played games on the computer, and that was it.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, right now I've been starting to do Christmas shopping throughout like the last couple weeks and things like that. I think it last Saturday I went shopping with my mom. I think it was. Then we went to Eastview, and she was able to knock a lot of Christmas presents out. It's a lot of times where this would be the time of the year where people was like Black Friday shopping. I mean, my mom and I used to go Black Friday shopping before it got really big. And then once it got to be overwhelming, we're like, nope, we're not going out and not doing it. And now it used to be that people would shop Thanksgiving, stores would open on Thanksgiving night. And that's not even happening anymore.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
Actually, I just thought of one other Thanksgiving thing that was sort of a weird tradition for me for a bunch of years.
Okay.
My original cat, Geraldine, the one I found in 2000, I found her on Thanksgiving weekend. Like,
I remember you telling me about that one. Yeah.
Yeah, my roommate and I had ordered Chinese food on the Sunday after Thanksgiving, took the garbage out, tossed it in a dumpster. She popped out, sort of followed me home, and wound up keeping her. But because we didn't have cat food, I fed her leftover turkey that I brought home from my parents' house, from my mom's house. And so for many years after that, every Thanksgiving when I brought home turkey, she got some turkey because that's what she did. She was my Thanksgiving cat, so I always fed her turkey after Thanksgiving. And then she died in 2017. But since then, the new cat tradition seems to be Susan and I get a new cat every year. In 2017, Oliver had shown up at our house outside in July of 2017. Geraldine died in December of 2017. We weren't planning on getting another one, but then Daniel showed up in February of 2018 outside of our house. Okay, that's it for the cats. But then I missed having a black cat, so in March of 2019, wound up with Bob. And since then, we've always joked, geez, we get a cat every year. And in 2020, we weren't planning on it, but just a couple weeks ago, our 3-legged kitty Pie came into our lives. So the past 4 years, we've wound up with a cat every year, which isn't a Thanksgiving tradition. Now that's just an annual thing, but
there you go. But still,
started with the Thanksgiving tradition of feeding Geraldine turkey, Thanksgiving turkey.
That's amazing. How many cats do you have right now?
6.
6 of them. How they doing?
Good. Pie doesn't seem to like any of them, but he's got his own room. So, he's in the spare room, and then at different times we'll put some of the other cats in the other rooms and let him wander around. And then we'll try and integrate him with some of the other ones to varying degrees of success or unsuccess. But everybody's got cats they like and ones they don't. And Oliver has just learned to get along with the girls upstairs, so he's now allowed upstairs, and it's a big cluster F, but
it's always something.
But we deal with our little cat orphanage here, so
right,
and everybody's happy. So, and Pie likes people more than anything. Like if he had actual arms, he'd hug us all day long.
Aw, see, that's sweet though.
Yeah, but he hates other cats. We think he's a dog in cat disguise. Because literally, he spent 15 minutes licking my face this morning.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know what the deal with him is, but he's very funny. And the other cats, I love them all. So all 6 of them, all half dozen of them.
The more the furrier.
Yeah. Right. So we'll see if we wind up with a 2021 cat or what. But so far, the last 4 years, we've gotten a new one for some reason or another.
Well, things are consistent here in the regard that Molly does not hate Juno. She's just scared of the fact that Juno is like 10 times her size.
Right.
And Juno does not hate Molly or does not want to hurt Molly, just wants to play with Molly and sniff her and doesn't understand her. But then Molly keeps running away. So Juno's like, wait, what? I just want to play.
Yeah.
What's going on here?
Come here, little dog.
So what are some of the things we do to get into the Thanksgiving spirit other than talk about our traditions and things? There's movies, TV shows, stuff that we have to see. We did mention Charlie Brown. Is there anything else that you have to? It's like it's not Christmas time until you see Hans Gruber fall from the Nakatomi Plaza.
That's funny you mentioned that because we were talking about that last night at gaming, and that's what Mark was saying, and Chrissy and Sean, and everyone's like, it's not a Christmas movie. We're like, well, it starts on Christmas Eve and ends on Christmas Day, so yes, it is.
Yes.
So.
Yep.
Yes, even Bruce Willis has said it's not a Christmas movie, but we have to disagree on this one, Bruce. I'm sorry to tell you. Like the other night, Tanya and I watched Addams Family Values, which has nothing to do with
Thanksgiving movie.
It has a Thanksgiving piece in it in the summer camp scene, right? So that there's your Thanksgiving tie-in, but it's funny. Oh my God, I forgot how funny.
I haven't watched that in so long. Yeah,
I think part of what we think about Thanksgiving is family and values and getting together to say what you're thankful for and giving a time to reflect and what are there's movies and TV shows and whatever that pull that time of year in that might not be particularly that theme, but they do it so you're now being thankful and blessed and all that type of stuff.
See, I look forward to the football games, watching football games but usually with other people. Again, this year our Thanksgiving, we're not having a get together because with my niece and nephew going to school, we don't know who they're hanging out with, and we just all feel safer being separated. But this year my brother's still making turkey and stuffing and mashed potatoes, and he's packaging up food, and he's going to bring some to me and Susan. He's bringing some to my sister and brother-in-law. I think his first stop is going to be at my sister's house, who's going to have dessert made, and she's going to send dessert for everybody. And then my brother stops here. He drops off our Thanksgiving dinner along with the carcass of the turkey, because Susan always makes turkey soup for everybody for the following, days or week or whatever. So we'll get our food, and then Susan will make turkey soup probably Friday or over the weekend out of the carcass. And so we're still trying to do something together for Thanksgiving where everybody prepares food and gets it to the other people in the family. But it won't be as much fun watching the football games without my brother and my sister and brother-in-law. And because, it's the Lions play one game and the Cowboys play the other, and they're both lousy. So I'm not expecting good games, but that's like an actual sort of tradition thing where we lay around to watch football. Before we eat, we turn off the games during the meal and have music on. and then more football after we eat. But
yeah, no, it's going to be tough. I'm hoping that, like we were saying earlier in the show today, we just, we'll turn this around. We have to. It's just going to be a thing. We're going to look back at this whole situation eventually. But what are some of the other ones? Let's see. There's planes, trains, and automobiles. That happens at Thanksgiving, isn't it?
Yes.
Yes, it does. I haven't watched that in years.
Yeah, neither have I.
Awesome.
We were just talking about it the other night, though. That's why I was thinking about it.
Those
aren't pillows.
That's a funny movie. I saw that at the theater when it first came out. Remember laughing till I was crying. There's a scene where I think they're driving down the road and the car's on fire.
Yep.
And I remember laughing till I cried at that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Steve Martin and John Candy. I mean, they were they worked off each other so well. I mean,
yeah.
John Candy is one of those greats that is sad when he passed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
very much so.
Like Susan and I just watched Home for the Holidays a couple days ago because Robert Downey mentioned it on an interview I saw him on. And that's a really cute movie, and it takes place Thanksgiving Day, like from the night before Thanksgiving to the day after Thanksgiving. And it's a funny, sweet movie. Dysfunctional family, Holly Hunter, Robert Downey Jr., Anne Bancroft, why can't I think of the guy's name? It's an all-star cast.
Yeah.
And it was not a brilliant movie, but just a fun movie. And it just has like that 90s nostalgia feel to it. Like there's just movies that you could tell what decade they were made by sort of the production and the score and all that. So
right, there's going to be a vibe to it.
Yeah.
It
sort of has like if John Hughes' Brat Pack movies, if those people grew up, type of feel to it.
That's valid. That's very valid.
So
the things we do, the things we watch, the places we go. Oh, the places we'll go. Dr. Seuss thing. I think it's Dr. Seuss thing.
It is.
So, all right, my friends, let's take another quick break. When we come back, we will have a wrap up and our question of the week.
Woo woo.
And we are back, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, dudes and dudettes, and all points in between. We love you guys. We're hoping you're having a great day so far. So this podcast comes out on the Wednesday before Thanksgiving, so the timing is great. We guys hope you have a wonderful Thanksgiving, that you get an opportunity in this crazy situation of 2020, that you find some joy, some smile. And if it's been hanging with us for the past hour and a quarter or so, then great. We love sharing that with you. We're going to forego Dan's magic list, and I have a simple question of the week. Billy, I'm going to start with you, my friend.
Okay.
In this madness of 2020, just find something. What are you thankful for this year?
Oh, that's easy. That I have a wife who has helped make this manageable, who figures out when to go shopping and takes care of that type of stuff, and just gives me someone to talk to and be around and have 6 cats with, and someone she's actually I think, was that one of the topics we got into a couple weeks ago with her, where her COVID knowledge, like she really studies the stuff, so she knows what's going on. She's got a wide breadth of knowledge on lots of stuff, and she also sort of, what's the word I'm looking for? She indulges me in the stuff I'm interested in.
Yes.
Like yesterday, I watched a 5-hour documentary about the history of stand-up comedy in the Comedy Store, and cool. I loved it. She started watching, was really interested in it, and turns out from her past life, she had met a ton of really interesting people and got to share her stories about meeting Robin Williams and Richard Belzer and different people like that. So someone someone who's her own person and also, lets me be my own person, but she's really interesting, and I'm glad she's around. And
that's amazing.
So, I'm glad for the past, let's see, March through the year 11. So what's it been? 8 months, 9 months. I've been lucky enough to be around someone that in general, we don't drive each other crazy. We still do a little bit, but
yeah, all good relationships do. Yeah. You drive each other a little bonkers typically on a regular basis.
So,
but it's better that way.
Uh-huh.
How about you, Tanya Fabulous?
How did I know you were going to, one, have this question, and two, come to me next?
Because you know me. You know me really well.
Yes, you're an open book.
She's thankful for those kids.
I tell you.
Being distractions.
Can you hear the feet upstairs?
Mm-hmm. And the voices.
And the voices. And they're not the voices in my head.
Or the voices in my head. Voices in my... Anyway, sorry.
I would be more thankful if I had soundproofing in the basement.
So what Tanya wanted for Christmas is soundproofing for her basement, is what she said.
When we would talk about our Amazon wish list, yeah, that would...
We'll start a GoFundMe.
Yeah, no kidding. I am definitely thankful for all my friends and family, especially during this time. I am thankful for being able to actually be able to go to work on a daily basis and be out and be teaching students in person. And that we're not in an area that my district's not in a yellow zone, so the students don't have to be tested yet.
Okay.
So I'm thankful for that. I am thankful that everyone around me is safe and healthy. I'm thankful that my own son Riker was able to handle the rapid COVID test at school on Friday. It was a new experience for him, and that he was able to handle it and do it, whereas I know if it had been my oldest, that wouldn't have been done, because we would have had a 20 to a 30-minute bloody nose afterwards. Just because I know Tyler's nose, if it's dry or whatever, any irritation, just sneezing could cause his nose to bleed. Yeah, and so I'm thankful that I'm thankful that he is the person that he's becoming. He has his challenges and his difficulties and things like that, and he's definitely opinionated. But but I was very impressed with his report card from the first barking period, and I'm so blessed that he's able to, and thankful that he's able to handle this hybrid teaching learning situation, because I'm not home during the day. Right. And he's doing a good majority of it on his own as 7th grade. He does have a couple adults in the house that can support him, but he's doing phenomenal. And he had a lot of kind and respectful comments on his report card, which made Sean and Chris and somebody else giggle. So, yeah. So won't lie. Because he's definitely different at home. He's always helpful and wants to be there helping whatever, but he can be a little assertive. We'll say
no, honey. It's called aggressive.
But he I think he's like kind of like Lenny in that regards to Of Mice and Men. He doesn't necessarily know his own strength.
Okay.
And difficulties and things like that. But he is so loving and generous and caring and things like that. And I'm glad that it's seen at school compared to what we see at home. Right. So, we see a totally different side to him now. Granted, he is still kind and generous or whatever, but he's also a preteen that has his own opinion on things. But he's a lovable little butterball. So
okay. Well, then we have that going for us then.
Yes, he's cute. But yeah.
How about you, Daniel-san?
Well, of course, I got my kids. I'm thankful that I've been able to keep in touch with all friends through this crazy, virtually for the most part through everything.
Mm-hmm.
But while I'm not thankful for the wonderful surprise 2020 has given me as far as rectal cancer,
Yeah.
I am thankful for the support that I've gotten throughout it.
Yeah.
I mean, I made the decision early on that I'm going to be open with everybody about it, and I've been posting on Facebook in detail what I've been going through with this, and it helps me just to get it out there and not have to repeat myself, but it also just getting the support back from it has just been overwhelming. I mean, it's just, and that's just, it was said cancer, don't not recommended, don't do it on purpose.
Don't try this at home.
But if if you do get it, it's there's support out there. There's there's good people out there. You can get through it. It's a lot of it is curable. There's hopefully if you do get it, you catch it early. I did catch it. I did get mine relatively early, so I'm lucky there. But it's just I'm thankful for all the support that I've gotten throughout this whole journey. And the journey's still continuing. The first step is almost done. By the time this is out, I'll be pretty much done with the last treatment there for the radiation.
That's great.
And then I'll be able to figure out what the next step is after that. I have to get another MRI and see what's left of the cancer and what they're going to do next. Probably surgery, but we'll find out. To be continued.
And we'll find out together, mate. We'll find out together.
Mm-hmm.
And me being the water sign over here, I'm starting to tear up. So.
Yeah, well, that's one of the things I'm grateful for. I got the friends, the family, the support that we've gotten. I've been watching everybody else band around each other, and I'm like, cool, this is good. This is, we have these glimmers of hope in our society that we're going to be fine. And then when I went through the quarantine situation, I was nervous, but I was optimistic, especially after, when you're a week and a half in and you're not feeling any different. You're like, okay, my chances of getting through this unscathed are increasing daily. But people came out of the woodwork. They're like, hey, do you need anything? We can drop stuff off. We can do this. We can take care of that for you. The people I work with were like, okay, we're going to cover the appointments you can't reschedule. We're going to make sure this, field work gets done. I made a phone call one time because I was able to do a lot of work from home. So I'm sitting there on my computer and I'm like, Jesus, I wish if I could just lay eyes on this house that's 3 streets over from my house, I can go ahead and close this case. And I made a quick phone call. I'm like, hey, if you're passing through the area, can you just stop and see if this is here? Oh yeah, no problem. 10 minutes later, yeah, no, you're good. And so I was okay, good. Support from the team as well as the friends and the family, and it made life a lot easier. So I'm appreciative of everybody who's helped everybody get through these things. I am thankful that my best friend is kicking cancer's ass. I mean, holy cow! I've been watching you stride through this. And
it's not easy. It's not easy by any means. I'm in pain right now. I mean, right now there is pain right now.
Oh, I bet.
But it's just you got to get through it because it's.
And I thought Chris was the pain in your ass.
Well,
easy.
I have more of it now, so yeah.
There's legitimate medical documentation about pain in the ass now. So.
Exactly. Yes, there's literal pain in the ass now.
There, I needed to laugh and to dry my tears. Okay.
Yes, I see how it is. Let's make jokes at Chris's expense. I see how it is with you people.
Well, I've been making jokes at my own expense too. Come on.
Yeah, I know.
And actually,
laughter is a good medicine.
Yeah. Yes,
it is.
And actually, I'm also thankful for you guys. Every Sunday morning, I get to talk to friends that even though I don't get to see and look at you face to face, I'm getting to hear different voices and have conversations about stuff I like with people I like. So I am appreciative of that because I'm not someone that will normally call people on the phone just to talk because I don't do that. I don't like just chatting on the phone. But I do like talking to friends about stuff, and you're that for me right now. And I'm also thankful that Susan left the Oreos next to me. So
it's always a good thing.
Yeah.
And I'm thankful, obviously, to our listeners because you guys are. We sit here and we love talking to each other, but there are consistently people out there who listen to us week in, week out, and we appreciate that. And and we look forward to continuing doing that for a while to come yet. Even if there's only 2 listeners out there, I swear to you, we'll keep doing it. Just because we have fun, like Billy was saying, every Sunday we get to hang out and just talk about stuff that amuses us. And so that's that. So any last licks, any last regards from the gang before we close this one up?
Thanks everybody.
Did you hear that HBO Max is going to be potentially releasing Wonder Woman on Christmas Day?
They are, for sure. They are.
It is not, that's confirmed at this point.
Yeah, it is. That's what I'll be doing Christmas Day.
Maybe I'll have to get HBO Max now, huh?
Use your 7-day free trial.
There you go.
There it is. That's a thing.
Now, is it going to be streamed for free that day? For HBO Max subscribers, or are we going to have to pay?
I believe I saw no extra charge.
Yeah, I think
so. It might just be part of the
package
of the package, as it were.
I wonder if that
package.
I wonder if that counts because I have HBO Max now on my Hulu account. Mm-hmm. So I wonder if that might still work.
I think it will.
It should.
I hope so.
Find out. Stay tuned.
That's what I'm thankful for. Wonder Woman. Gal Gadot, I'm thankful for.
Hey.
A lot of people are thankful for that.
Gadot. I'm sorry, Miss Gadot. I mispronounced your name.
I thought it was Gadot.
I think it's Gadot.
I think it's Gadot.
Waiting for Gadot.
Yeah.
Okay,
all right.
On that note.
On that happy and pious note, we'll call that the Rapperoo. And you guys have a great week. So at this point, what I'm going to do is say, hey, Dan.
Hey, Chris.
Hey, Dan.
Hey, Chris.
Hit it. Because this has been FC3's Monkey Business, a product of the Mighty Monkey Corporation, purveyors and producers of the Flower City Comic-Con, coming at you in April of 2021, hopefully. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram, follow us on Twitter, follow us wherever we go, and we will lead you to where the entertainment is. You guys have a great week. Have a safe week. Have a wonderful Thanksgiving, and we will talk to you again next week.
Gobble, gobble.
What?
Gobbled.
I assumed that was I assumed that was appropriate instead of a dum dum.
That works. That works. I'm not sure how it works, but it worked.
Oh boy. Is it a wobble gobble?
Gobble gobble.
Gobble gobble gobble.
I don't know, you guys.
Oh yeah.